The Loneliness of the Abyss by Europe Comics. So this is a one shot. It's a giant one shot, like most Europe comics are. Though sometimes they have numbered series. I've done a few reviews for issues from Europe Comics, and they tend to be really, really good. So yeah, I decided to check this one out, and wow, I need to read more Europe Comics. So this is basically based off of a legend. And the legend was that there was this King Alexander who had conquered the world, and his ultimate prize was immortality. And the only way to get that is from the eternal waters. And he was granted it. He was granted a flask of the eternal waters, and if he were to drink it, he would become immortal. And one day he left the flask on his table, and his sister, who loved him more than life itself, saw the flask and thought it was just nothing but regular water. She was thirsty, so she drank it. She became immortal instead of him. And then when Alexander realized what happened, he became enraged. He became pissed off. And the girl, she was crushed. She says that she would rather have died 1,000 times if it meant her brother could live on. And so she asked the gods to never let her see him die and leave her with the hope that he would live forever. And of course, I'm assuming these are Greek gods because this is a Greek comic. The gods are cruel. So they took her wish and they twisted it. And they turned her into a Gorgon. And in this one, Gorgons are usually like Medusa is a Gorgon, right? Upper body of a human with snake for hair, lower body of a snake. You see when she looks you in the eyes, you turn to stone. However, this Gorgon is different. I said this Gorgon is basically a gigantic sea monster. So it's basically like a giant mermaid. And so she was turned into this giant mermaid creature called a Gorgon. In this universe is called a Gorgon. And she spends immortality, the rest of her life, wandering beneath the waves of the oceans. And she will come by passing ships, and she will ask them, King Alexander, is he alive? And if sailors say he's alive, then she goes back into the sea, and the sea is troubled no more. Like everything is calm, and they're allowed to continue on their journey. But if they say no, then she becomes hysterical, and she rips the ship into pieces and basically kills everybody. And so this is that legend. So we see a cargo ship called the St. Nikolas sailing through the ocean, and everything stops working. All the instruments stop working. The compass just starts spinning like crazy. The ship gets surrounded by a mist that they can't see out. The sonar is going crazy. Everything is just going nuts. Even their engine dies. Nothing works. And so everybody starts panicking because they don't know what to do. And eventually they just decide, okay, we're just going to leave it up for the fates to decide what happens. So they just kind of chill out on the deck of the ship. And that's when she arrives. That's when the giant sea mommy shows up and pops out of the ocean. Of course, everybody's freaking out because there's this giant naked woman just appearing out of the ocean, hovering over their giant ship. And our main character is just like narrating about how this is like a moment he'll never forget. This naked woman shows up, grabs one of the men, and holds him up to her face and asks, is he alive? And everyone's confused, like, who the hell is she talking about? And she says, King Alexander, is he alive? And the guy that she's holding basically mentions that he died a long time ago. And our hero, who is never given a name, so I'm just going to call him our hero or the protagonist, he knows about this legend. So he screams at her, he lives. He lives and he reigns. But she doesn't hear him speak because she's too busy screaming over the fact that the guy in her hand said that he died long ago. And so she screams, she crushes the guy in her hand, and then her giant fishtail slaps the ship, destroys it, and everybody sinks and starts drowning, including our hero. And as our hero is sinking into the black abyss, he blacks out, And when he wakes up, he sees just nothing but a bunch of skeletal bodies, some of his dead crewmen, and he realizes that he's inside this bubble. She has spared him, but only him. He's the only one left alive. Everyone else on the ship is dead. And so she explains that you look like him. That's why I spared you and only you, because you look like my brother Alexander. She's like, tell me of him. Does he still rule Babylon? And then, of course, he says yes. Because, again, he knows the legend. So he says he does. It's the greatest place in the world. And why wouldn't it be? Because he built it. And then he basically makes up stories. He makes up stories about this King Alexander and the adventures that he went on and how he's still like super heroic and brave and everybody loves him and things like that. And so he gets trapped in this never-ending nightmare where he is forced to live in the deep ocean in this bubble. She like gives him like oysters and stuff for him to live off of, but he's trapped in this bubble telling these stories. And every once in a while, she disappears. And he hates when that happens because he knows what's about to happen afterwards. She disappears. She goes up to the surface. From his point, all he can see is ships being destroyed, men drowning, and a lot of them see him in the bubble. So they see him and they're filled with the question, why is he left alive? And this just becomes a reoccurring thing where his daily life just becomes him telling stories, her eventually disappearing every once in a while, and then he just sees the destroyed wreckage of ships sinking along with all the passengers, and some of them seeing him and wondering why he's still left alive. I'm going to stop it there. There's more. This is a full story. So you get the entire story here, beginning, middle, end, all that stuff. It's concluded. It's not a ongoing series or anything like that. It's just a giant one shot. But I don't want to spoil everything. I do want you to read it because it is freaking amazing. I love this story a lot. It was really, really good. And it's kind of tragic. It's basically a Greek tragedy, which makes sense since it's by a Greek author and illustrator based off of maybe a Greek legend. I mean, the Gorgon is a Greek legend. So yeah, it's just pretty much the story about this woman who becomes a giant mermaid that destroys ships whenever they tell her that her brother is dead. And a passenger who looks like her brother that she keeps alive and forces him to tell her stories of her brother and basically unwittingly forces him to witness her causing more destruction and death. And he's just kind of stuck in this situation, which to me is absolutely terrifying. I don't know if anyone knows this. I mentioned this before in previous videos. I have a huge fear of the ocean. It's because I've almost drowned on multiple occasions. But yeah, I have a huge fear of the ocean, especially just like the deep sea. I mean, then again, go and look at like what's at the bottom of the sea. Like the deeper you go, it's just nightmare fuel. So anyone who wants to like do like a horror game or a horror movie or whatever, if you want like ideas for monsters, just look at sea critters, especially the ones that live in the deep. Like the deeper you go, just the more terrifying they look. So to have a character who's forced to live down in the deep blue ocean, trapped in a bubble with this giant Gorgon, forced to tell stories, and every once in a while she disappears, and every time she disappears, more death is going to show up. And you're just witnessing all this. You're just witnessing ships being sunk. You're witnessing all these people drowning in front of you over and over and over and over again. Yeah, that's basically this guy's life. And like I said, there's more. I don't want to spoil it though, but this was a really good story. I really liked it a lot. It was pretty awesome. I definitely need to check out more Europe comics because everything that I've read from them has just been amazing. Maybe us here in America should take some tips from what Europe is doing. Not necessarily just Europe comics, because Europe comics is the publication, but just European comics in general, as well as manga, obviously. I think if American comics started just looking at what European comics are doing, as well as Japanese manga, and just started emulating some of that, things would be a lot better. I think the comic industry would be a lot more healthier. But yeah, there you go. There's The Loneliness of the Abyss by Europe Comics. I highly recommend checking out. It was freaking fantastic. It was a really good story. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.